Hey, what's up? Lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2007 cult classic film Transformers. This is directed by Michael Bay. Steven Spielberg and Michael Bay both executive produced this film. Universal Pictures and Paramount Pictures co-produced this film. This is based off the Hasbro toy series of cult that it is. Transformers. Oh my god. My brain work. I had a bout of food poisoning today, so bear with me as I try to compose myself and discuss this glorious film. We're going to talk about plot points first, then we're going to talk about, legacy and things that I know and how I'm obsessed with this movie. Okay. Decepticon attacks a military base in Qatar and then the surrounding village. Josh Duhamel and Tyrese Gibson play characters within the military, trying to defeat two of those Decepticons. So you have the Decepticons and you have the Autobots. But we don't know about their history until halfway through. Bumblebee is an Autobot, happens to stroll into a used car lot in Los Angeles where Sam Witwicky and his father, Sam is played by the one and only Shia LaBeouf. He was 20 years old when he filmed this. Fun fact. Bernie Mac, R.I.P., this is his used car lot, and it's such a glorious scene, and everybody quotes it, and medic, get your cousin out of the sun before he has a heat stroke. Make us melting, hurts my eyes. I've seen this movie so many times in the last 13 years, it's incredible. So Sam buys Bumblebee for $4,000, and then Bumblebee is then escaping, and he's a 70s Camaro, and then he's, made fun of by Megan Fox's character because Sam is trying to hook up with her, and then they're at the party, and then at the lake, and then he winds up driving her home, and then Bumblebee fake breaks down so Sam could make out with her, but it's not a thing because it doesn't happen. So she looks at the engine, and then she makes a comment on the way home that, if he's a robot and he can do all these things, why does he decide to be this piece of crap Camaro? And then he dumps them out in the middle of a tunnel, goes to the 2009 Camaro. Now this film was filmed in 2006, okay? Came out in 2007, but it featured the 2009 Camaro. So it's a nice little backtrack of car stuff for you. It was funny. Before technically they got to the tunnel scene, Bumblebee sent out in robot form a message to fellow Autobots that, the Allspark is here. They need to locate Sam's great-great-grandfather's glasses because Captain Witwicky is one of the discoverers of the North Pole, and he inadvertently made contact with Megatron, who has been there for over 1,000 years, stuck in the ice, trying to get the Allspark, because the Allspark is also in, the Arctic Ocean. So once a Decepticon is attacking Bumblebee, and Bumblebee fights the Decepticon, and then the kids and Bumblebee run away. But before all this happens, Sam says this line, and it's one of my absolute favorite lines to Michaela, right? They're in a ditch, there's a tiny robot who's trying to attack them. She cuts his arms off. He becomes her cell phone inadvertently. And Bumblebee comes up, he swings the door open, and Sam says, we gotta go. And she's like, no. And Sam says, 50 years from now, when you're looking back at your life, don't you want to have the guts to say you got in the car? Bro, incredible. And they use that line again at the end. So they get in the car, he turns into the new Camaro. They meet up with Optimus and Ratchet and Jazz and all of the other Autobots who are apart on Earth. The Decepticons, some of them come about here and there. So then now it's a matter of the U.S. government of Sector 7 coming into play. Getting to Sam and his family. His parents are absolutely hysterical. The Chihuahua dog Mojo, R.I.P., because that dog is clearly not alive anymore. Hysterical. They take them all to, a military base. Or try to, for that matter. And everything goes haywire, because then you have Josh Duhamel and Tyrese's crew, military crew, meeting up at the airport. You have the Secretary of Defense coming into play as well. You have Anthony Anderson and I forget that Australian actress's name. She's great. They're coders. They break the code of the Transformers making the noises that they do, specifically the Decepticons. The Decepticons and the Autobots have the same, vocal tracers because of Cybertron, where they all lived, planet of Cybertron, before there was a civil war, and all hell broke loose. The Allspark is a cube that can create life out of anything mechanical. And that's what Megatron and the Decepticons want to do, is take over Earth's mechanics to make a new home for themselves. But the Autobots want to kind of have Earth as a peaceful place and not hurt the humans, because the humans haven't really done anything to hurt them, kind of thing. Okay, so eventually everyone migrates to the Hoover Dam. Every side story comes together. Everybody goes to the Hoover Dam because that's where they've been keeping Megatron, because that's where the Allspark actually has been. Hasn't been in the Arctic. Megatron was in the Arctic. The Allspark was in the Hoover Dam this entire time, since the 1930s or whatever the hell it was built. And they built the dam around the Allspark. So I like that little side tiff of aliens influencing human technology, stuff like that. And one of the characters even says, you know, all the stuff we have now has been backtracked to NBE-1, who they called Megatron, because of his radiation and tech and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So, of course, Megatron gets out. Of course, the Decepticons fight the Autobots. Of course, everybody meets up in Mission City, and Sam's gotta get the cube to safety. And there's this incredible scene on a rooftop, and it explodes, and Optimus catches him. It's great. Bumblebee's legs get blown off. It's heart-wrenching. It's incredible. And Sam eventually just takes the cube and puts it in Megatron's chest, and he's dead. And then the Secretary of Defense tries to cover everything up, and, you know, dump all the Autobot remains in the ocean. Because no one needs to know that they exist, right? And then Sam's parents are interviewed at the end, and they deny anything to do with alien invasions, things of that nature. They all come to terms that the Autobots can live on Earth, but Optimus sends out a signal. Any Autobots who hear this, you know, we are here, you know, come find us. But the whole principle of there's more than meets the eye. Transformers, more than meets the eye. And they use that line many a times, especially with the humanity. Optimus is saying, you know, they're a primitive race, but there's more than meets the eye. Ha ha ha. I get chills watching this movie. I fell in love with cinematography and sound editing because of this movie, to be completely honest. The sound effects are incredible because it draws. And the composition, you have dramatic operatic scenes, right? Mixed into slow motion set as a camera pans but then twists. It's just, oh my god, it's amazing. And a lot of the sounds, a lot of the soundtrack, a lot of the score reminds me of Pirates of the Caribbean. And I think that's why I love this so much, because Pirates of the Caribbean 3 at World's End came out May 2007, and this came out July 2007. So this was right after my junior year of high school, the summer before my senior year. So, like, this is when, like, action movies, like, were becoming incredible. And then a whole dynasty of Transformers films came about. We are going to talk about all 6 of them that are currently out. Why some are terrible, why some are great. But this is one of the greatest movies, period, hands down. And I know Michael Bay is just... I can't watch his films anymore because he's just too dramatic with the sunset shots and all this stuff. But it works perfectly with the helicopter pans and the sunset shots and the twisting of the camera in certain motions and everything. It just gives me chills watching this. And another thing, this movie was in 2007. So this was, 6 years after the 9/11 attacks of planes and, you know, buildings falling and stuff. Which clearly is, you know, conspiracy theory galore. But people running through the streets screaming as buildings fell in New York City, that was real. You can't fake that. You can fake a building collapsing because of jet fuel, but as we just learned at the Beirut explosions of a building literally right next to the massive explosion, jet fuel didn't cause those buildings to fall. So, yeah. But my point being is the fear and terror on people's faces running for their lives that you see in this movie is very reminiscent, from my perspective, to what I was watching at 11 years old on the news for live television, of people running down the streets of Manhattan screaming in fear and terror which also is why Cloverfield creeps me the freak out, because it's the same thing. People literally running for their lives in terror and fear as buildings collapse around them. In New York City, mind you. But that was then. This is now, right? It's 2020. This movie creeps me the freak out even more because of all of the constant protests and constant belligerent right-sided crazies that are just so manic and terroristic that the white supremacist is such a terrorist organization. It's horrifying to watch these people scream and fear for their lives because of these crazy white people in the streets. And you see that not on a live TV, but on a live stream on your phone. So the level of fear and terror of people running through the streets is a little different now than it was back then, but it's still represented perfectly in this film. You have a literal slow motion pan of a woman screaming as Megatron is jumping over her. It's just creepy. It gives me the creeps. I'm just creeped out just talking about it. It's wonderful. Oh, I love this movie. Can't you tell I love this movie? We've talked about it for a long time. I love this movie. I hooked up with a lot of people while watching this movie. I can't tell you why. It's dramatic. It's action-packed. Everyone's sweating constantly through this. I'm sweating right now. You see my skin all glistening. It's a wonderful film to do many things with, to have as background or to just constantly watch. It's a game changer. It was a game changer. Let's put it that way. This movie changed the scope of how action films were to be after 2007. And I credit a lot of Avengers styles of films to Transformers because of that cinematography, because of that sound editing, because of that soundtrack, because of that score. Yes. Also, Megan Fox went to a Linkin Park concert while filming this movie, and they had asked her if they could put one of their songs in the movie, and she kind of finagled somehow with the producers, and that's how the end song by Linkin Park, What I've Done, got into the movie. It's because Megan Fox talked to the band after a show. Incredible fun fact. Also, Shia LaBeouf is awesome. I am so tired of people telling me how he's a crazy person. No, he's an incredible actor. You need to get your heads out of your asses. Watch what this man does. Watch what he just did at 20 years old. We were all obsessed with him in Even Stevens and in Holes. Watch what he did in Transformers. Watch what he does in the next Transformers and the third. And watch what he's done in all the other movies he's done. He is a committed method actor. Stop being stupid. Shia LaBeouf is a great actor. That was a stop being stupid, comma, you idiot people, period. Shia LaBeouf is awesome. Exclamation point. Okay, clarified. We're good. I think that's it. I've talked enough, but it's all important. And yes, I'm gesturing a lot. I know. I'm not sorry. Mucho mahalo.